Okay, first of all, before we get into this review, I got to tell you, I do have an extreme bias.
Clearly, you do, because the way you've been talking about this movie ever since, I'm like, okay, man, I'm kind of out there.
No, you haven't heard me. No, I have. You don't know me, man. I've never shared this with you, but I have an extreme bias against the culinary world, man. You know, the fancy culinary world.
Hot cuisine.
Yes. I hate cuisine. Now, I tell you that these people, man, this is what I hate about the culinary culture right now, the rock star culinary culture, because they're full of elitist.
Sure.
They're basically assholes.
Yeah.
They feel like they're so better than you, they make food better than you. You are not worthy to eat this food. Because it's made by a rock star. It's made by a god. And they treat it like, wait, don't eat it yet. To soak in, admire this fine piece of art that I've laid before you.
They're the artists, and that's their art.
And that's their art.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck if it's art.
Better be worthy of it.
It's beautiful. You know what? It's still gonna look like shit when it comes out my ass. I hate these motherfuckers, man. I really do.
Have you met many of these kind of chefs before?
I have not.
He's met.
I was about to say.
And that's what this whole movie's about. It's about that. They want to immerse you in this whole shitty environment, man. Now,
It's funny how you didn't mind when it was a rat doing it.
well, come on, man. That's a talking rat. How many rats do you see cooking shit? Now, with this film, we have Bradley Cooper. He plays Adam Jones. Chef on a motorcycle, boy. He's cool. Badass.
Leather jacket and all.
Leather jacket and everything. Got his Terminator shades on. Look like the Terminator almost.
A little bit.
Now, my man here, at one time in his life, Tommy, fucked over everyone that he knew in Paris.
I can believe that, actually.
Had to take his ass to New Orleans, shuck oysters all day. And he said, when I get to my millionth oyster, that's when I know that
I'm gonna fuck over these people too.
Yeah. The guy's a shithead, man. Gets to his millionth, he's trying to redeem himself. He gets to his millionth oyster and walks out, and some black dude, hey, white boy, where you going?
Yeah,
hey.
right in the middle of lunch rush. I got my millionth. I did what I had to do.
Yeah.
So I'm out of here.
Was this like a certified punishment that he had to shuck a million?
He put it on
oysters?
himself.
Put it on himself. Because you know what? He treated people like shit. He says, I want to be better than that.
Yeah.
I've done my time. I've left for a little bit. You know
Meanwhile,
what?
you act like an asshole while doing it.
But you know what, Tommy? He thinks that he's gotten a little bit better, so he goes to jolly old England. He knows some people there. Paris won't let him back in.
Yeah.
So I just go down the street to London. I know some people there, and those people don't like me either, but I'll be able to make amends to them by being a bigger asshole.
He knows how to charm them.
But that's the thing. Some people say, in order to be the greatest chef out there, in order to earn that third Michelin star, you have to be an asshole.
Matter of fact, it was him that said it.
Yeah. And you know what? Yeah, he's going to
makes a lot of rules.
Yeah. And that's what he's going for. So he thinks that he can redeem himself through perfection, getting that third star, getting that restaurant he's always dreamed of, and perhaps treating people a little bit better. Not really. But this guy here, like I said, in order for him to do this, he has to work in that environment. I really don't like, when I'm being serious, I really don't like this whole thing of chefs being looked at as rock stars and gods.
Yeah,
and
why isn't it movie critics?
I know, man. I'm gonna get my chance. But I'm looking at this, and let's just take him out of it. Let's take the chef out of it. It's that whole, I told you, it's that whole atmosphere. It's just people just being the biggest snobs that they can, making a big deal out of something cool, but goddamn, ain't that fucking big.
Yeah.
And and this whole Michelin star thing. I mean, that whole thing of, yes, chef. Oh, no, chef. I've been treating this whole Michelin star thing like it's the fucking Grail and the Bible and all that kind of stuff. I'm just like, God fucking damn it, lighten up a little bit.
Do you know about the Michelin Man?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, he's that motherfucker that makes those tires, right?
It actually is connected to that.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the Michelin tires, they would put out a guide for travelers, and part of it was rating restaurants, and that became the official guide that all the restaurants use.
Look at you. You a fucking snob too, man. Fuck you and your knowledge, man.
Right.
Michelin Man eat in pairs.
Sometimes the Michelin Man can even be a woman.
They always book a table before 7:30. The first of the pair arrives early and has a drink at the bar. His partner arrives half an hour later. One orders the tasting menu, the other one a la carte. Always. They order half a bottle of wine, they ask for tap water, they wear business suits, they're polite. But attention, they may place a fork on the floor. under the table to see if you notice. And they wouldn't drop it because that could make a noise and make it too easy.
Everything from now on must be perfect. Not good, not excellent, perfect.
Oh fuck! No, shut up. You know, I'm going to Taco Bell, man. Fuck this. It's just way too complicated, man. You know, I don't mind if they have this kind of atmosphere, because what we would like to see is a person in this kind of environment going against the elite, the person that we can actually relate to.
Right.
And that's what we need with Bradley Cooper. We need Bradley Cooper to be that guy that speaks for us. You know, the guy that can just, you know, throw his nose up at all these stuffy people and bring them back down to earth.
Right.
And kind of that way he is, but the problem is that he takes on, he is a chef. He is a rock star chef. So he goes around carrying himself like that. Everybody has to treat me like I'm a god. He literally says that to some people.
What can I get you?
You marinate the lamb in za'atar lemon zest, right?
Yeah, and yogurt too, yeah.
Gorgeous.
Thank you. Look, Mr. Jones, I just want to say, you've always been a hero of mine. We studied your menus and recipes, and
A hero or a god?
I don't know the difference.
Would you work for me for nothing?
For nothing.
For food,
Fuck
for meals.
no.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if I was learning loads, yeah.
Would you pay me? How much would you pay me to work for me? Would you pay me 100 pounds a week? 200? 300? Trying to make a point. Your resume's great, this lamp, fantastic, but you lack arrogance. And to be in my kitchen, you have to defend yourself.
By the way, that's a fucking trap. That's not true. That's not true, because if you try to talk shit to him, he will beat your ass in the middle of the kitchen.
That's true.
Look, he wants to beat that motherfucker right now. He just told him, you got to stand up to me. What you looking at me for? This motherfucker, I mean, to the point where he is ready to like beat women. The only person that said, Sienna Miller is the only person that talks back to him in the kitchen, and he's about to do some domestic abuse shit. He jacks her up, picks her up and shit.
About to Ray Ricer?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, he have to do that shit, look around like, oh, fuck. Good job. No, motherfucker. You know, it's too late for
Go
that.
across the street and buy me a two-piece.
Yeah,
Do something for yourself.
Ain't nobody. I mean, this motherfucker's ready to beat this chick's ass. Think about what he'll do to a dude. I mean, and it's that kind of shit where you look at him and it's like, nobody can relate to this guy, man. Nobody can relate to this guy at all. This guy wants to, what the movie, I don't know what you think about this, because I don't even know what your opinion is. We never talk about these things. But for me, the movie wants you to see him as that guy who was once an asshole, who is on his road to redemption through perfection. I mean, everything that this guy gets in his life, he doesn't earn. He's able to just talk his way through it. He's able to just charm his way through life. I mean, I don't. As far as me watching the movie, I was like, it's just telling me that the more handsome you are and the more shit you can talk and the more you can push people around and bully them,
The easier life will be.
The easier life will be, man. So the actor I like,
Yeah.
but him, I you know, the character he plays, I don't. And when I say that everything is handed to him in life, I mean, well, for one, you know, it's also a one-note character. I mean, they want us to like him, but he doesn't mind screwing people over as long as he can just get food right to where he wants it to be. And even when he describes food, it's just kind of like, wow, man, even the food you make sounds like a dick.
I mean, we should be dealing in culinary orgasms. When's the last time you had an orgasm that was interesting?
Remind me never, ever to discuss food with you in public.
People eat because they're hungry. I want to make food that makes people stop eating.
You're being stupid.
Cooking is an expression of who we are, and right now we're 2 stars, both of us. It's a 2-star review. Now we can keep on cooking and be interesting, but I want people to sit at that table and be sick with longing.
So he wants to make food you just look at. You don't want you to touch it. He wants you to still be hungry when you leave. And that's another thing about the
Well,
film.
good luck with that.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing about this cuisine is that, usually a movie about food, like Big Night, Julie and Julia, and certainly Chef, you watch them, it makes you just hungry. You see all that food, you're like, oh, man.
And even in this movie, when you look at the food here, you're like, damn, that looks good, man.
Yeah.
You watching most of it, and you're like, wow.
See,
the food that's for the common people looks better than any of the food.
But there's only a couple of shots of that. The food that he's making that you see them put out all the time, it's like, Yeah, I can't get hungry for that because it's only this big. It's on a plate with lots of drizzling, and it comes out. They're serving these plates, and there's so little on there, and I'm like, man, I'm not like, it's not like I want a big American portion, but I want enough to where I don't leave and want to go eat at Sonic right after because I'm still hungry.
So he's that asshole that serves you that shit at the restaurant.
Yeah.
Every one of those plates.
Well, fuck that dude.
It would have like,
Exactly.
like
I hate
4
that
little
guy.
scallops on it, and I'm like,
Yeah, and a pea.
That's an 85. You're like that plate was $85 at least.
Oh, and let me put like a little extra leaf of parsley on there
Right.
so I can add another $20 to that plate.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
fuck you, man. Maybe I never liked this shit because Martin and myself, we were together one night. I've hated this shit since that one faithful night.
I know.
Martin and I got invited by some rich friends.
Of course.
Yeah, let's just rub it into your face how rich we are. Ha ha ha. Invite you to this big French restaurant. They are so rich, they didn't even pay for our food. So Martin and I, Martin and I order a plate that looks like this. Find out that it's like $50.
Oh.
And then when they come around, we're like, oh, you take credit cards? Like, no, cash only. So, and that's to make you do the walk of shame. So everybody can look at you like, oh, them niggas can't pay for their food. You know what I'm saying?
Well, plus when we sat there and got it, we had to just act like it was normal.
You don't ever root for this guy. That whole thing with him and Sienna Miller in the kitchen, like I said, this guy, everything that happens to him is because the format calls for it. Because this is your typical redemption story. And that romance between those two, it only happens because the script calls for it.
Yeah, they're
Somewhere he has to have
pretty people who hang out a lot, and so there you go.
Yeah,
Does it
she
feel
kisses.
natural?
She kisses him. No, they're just walking, and she says, "Stop for a second. Stop." You like, I thought, oh shit, those drug dealers that he owes over there or something. And she's like, turn around, and he's like, what? And she's like,
We're on page 80 of the
Yeah,
script.
yeah.
We got to make this happen now.
and she's like, and he's looking at her like, what's going on? She's like, I'm just like, damn, bitch, you horny? You know, like it didn't feel natural at all for a movie that's talking about how food is art, how everything is made fresh.
Food is art, not this movie.
Yeah, exactly. You know, food is art. Everything's made fresh, but this movie feels about as pre-packages of goddamn TV dinner, man. This, you know, and I will.
Yeah, it was produced by Swanson.
And-
You go through it. Yeah, you don't. As much as you might root for him sometimes. Like you might not hate him, but whether he wins or not, you just kind of don't care. I've seen movies where you have main characters who were assholes and they were striving for perfection. And I dig that. You know, you can't put down Whiplash because they had that same thing going on.
And I love the asshole in that movie.
Exactly. But
he was beating the motherfucker.
But that was just so it was fresh and alive, and you never knew what was going to come next. And it pushed the boundaries.
And don't get me wrong, I don't hate the movie. I don't. Like I said, I like Bradley Cooper. The strength of Bradley Cooper is that, you know, that actor will shine through anything. Maybe his character won't, but you will find him. You will like Bradley Cooper. You'll say, Bradley, I like you, man. That character, fuck him. But the other thing is that I like the look of the film. It's very slick. It has the feeling. Now, I might hate the culinary culture.
Yeah.
But I love the look of the restaurant, man.
You like the scene.
I love the scenery. I love the decor.
Yeah.
And the cinematography in this movie catches that, man. It really does catch that slick environment and decor of a fancy restaurant.
Yeah.
It's the kind of movie where you want to wear a suit after you leave, just by looking at it. I mean, you know, it makes you feel important just by looking at it. And you know what? And there's some parts in there that I do find funny. I mean, early on in the movie, I found more interesting, but as it goes on, you're like, wow, ain't nothing new here. I've seen this shit over and over
Well,
again.
it's funny, like his big freak out, biggest asshole moment where he does, grab Sienna Miller by the collar. I like that scene. And when it got to that, I was like, okay, now we're cooking. Here we go.
Yeah, it's unavoidable to do this. I didn't want to do this. I said I was not going to do this when I came into it, but it really is hard not to watch this movie and think about Chef.
Right.
Because the reason why, for me, and you can chime in on this, Martin, the reason why a movie like Chef works for me is because Chef is the opposite of this film. For me, it's a guy who's getting out of that snobbery and cooking food, finding that there's more flavor in the food that he's cooking for the common people out there instead of being with these assholes. Right. It's a guy that feels like he earned everything that he's going out there to do. Where this movie, it wallows in this whole thing of this snobbery and thinks that people want to see that, and I don't. I don't think it's a bad movie at all. I think it can be enjoyable, just not the whole way through. It lost my attention at certain points, but hey, if you're at home and you can look around the house or play on your phone or whatever and look up at the good parts, that's worth the rental.
Yeah, due to the slickness and and the actors who come through despite the material, I saw it more of a high rental. I mean, like I say, it's crowd pleasing at time. If I said to you like, yeah, man, this movie's bad, you'd be like, what? It's not that bad. But if you went and said like, hey, I'm really looking forward to this, I'm like, oh, you might be a little let down. It's not. It's going to be when we're done with this review. We might not even remember that we saw this movie.
Yeah, it should be on Netflix.
I mean, it was a little Cameron Crowe-ish to me. It's just that it had that flavor of there should be a magical Negro or some girl for him to fall in love with to get his life back on track here. And it's just like I'm just not interested. So yeah. it's a high rental.
Yeah. Burnt is what you'll get if you try to see this in theater. Pay your money to see this shit. But too bad too, because I like Bradley Cooper, man. I really do.
Well, he's still out there.
I know. Yeah. I know. Still got more money than I do. Still got more women than I do. Yeah, ain't nothing changed for him.